By the end of this video, I will teach you everything you need to know for adjusting your office chair properly. This is actually the remake of an old video from 2011, which I saw like yesterday or something, and I was completely ashamed of the bad quality of this video, so I've decided to do it again with the clean haircut and more light. Okay, so when you arrive to your office, you have to look at the position of your chair. You see that this one is clearly tilted backwards and things, so this chair is gonna take me away from my desk. Clearly it's not its function. So step one is always to kind of reset your chair to its normal upright position, call it like this for now. Okay? And the first adjustment you need to find is the height adjustment. On this chair it is at the front right, and I should say on the majority of the chairs, not all, but on the majority, it will be on the right side. And to adjust the height properly, well, you start too high, sitting as deep as you can in the chair, and you see that my heels are above the ground. And I will lower the chair until my feet are firmly on the ground, until my heels are firmly on the ground. By then, I observe that my knee angle is around 90-95 degrees. But now you see on this chair, two things happen. Thing number one is the seat pan is hitting the back of my knee. This is super uncomfortable. Plus, due to that, I'm not able to use the backrest. Yeah? Because to reduce the discomfort, I want to sit a bit more forward. And as I don't have the backrest, well, I will slouch. Actually, there's another reason why it's not good to have your seat forward. As you see, on most chairs, the seat glides forward, and that creates a gap here between the seat pan and the backrest. No one wants to sit in the gap. Therefore, everybody sits slightly forward compared to the backrest, and that leaves space for your pelvis to slouch. So my advice is you always push the seat pan as far back as you can, and only if you're very tall you can try to glide it forward a bit, provided that two conditions are always met. Condition number one, there's a full fist between the back of your knee and the seat pan when you sit back into the chair. That's condition number one. Condition number two, you should not feel that the backrest is less present when you move the seat forward. If the backrest is slightly less present, you make it a bit shorter, because the main function of the chair is to stabilize your pelvis. So if the backrest is not that present, forget about it. Okay? So we have adjusted the height. We had adjusted the depth. Yeah, and this makes it possible for us, thanks to the pressure from the ground, from the feet on the ground, to get deep into the chair. But what we still need to do is adjust the height of the lumbar support so that it's comfortably at the level of our belt. To do that on this chair, there's a button at the back here. See, like this. Basically, you start too high, slide back into the chair, and when you bring it down, at some point you feel that there's resistance. This resistance is due to the fact that the backrest or the lumbar support is actually arriving on your belt, so this is where you want to leave it. Okay? So start too high, down when it resists. This is the right height. We're almost there now. We still need to adjust the armrests. You see, these armrests can be adjusted in width, in height, front, back, in rotation. But basically, what's the idea? The idea is that your armrest should not be in your way when you work, okay? So the armrests are not meant to, let's say, rest all the time on them, unless you do something extremely static, such as, just monitoring something and click, click, click. But otherwise, you want to be able to move your arms freely, and this is why the armrests should be, say, just below the level of your elbows, something like this, provided again that they are not in your way when you work. So when you work, you're like this, and when you type, you're like that. Okay? I now move to the headrest. The headrest is not necessary, as you see, when I work. It will only become necessary when I lean back to think. Okay? This is why I find honestly that the headrest is an expensive option, which is really not always necessary. Better spend $150 more on a better quality chair than $150 on a headrest and a low quality chair. So basically, this is not the position in which I will adjust the headrest. I will adjust it when I'm there. And when I'm there, I will just make sure that it touches my head when my cervical spine is aligned with the rest of my spine. So you see now, I'm super relaxed and I can think whilst my head is supported. Now there's always a big discussion on should you leave the chair free or should you block it? Okay? The underlying idea is that you don't want people to be static. That's correct, but you don't want them to be unstable either. You see? And this is the big mistake that many people do. They say, okay, as we should get some movement, we should be moving all the time. That's not correct. You know, moving all the time, like alternating between bad posture, is not going to make you healthier in any kind of way. So the idea is that the chair should be stable when you work, and when you don't work, when you rest, it should go. So either the chair is super well built, as this one is, it is stable when I rest my lower back, and all fine, I can leave it free, provided that I adjust the resistance of the tilt mechanism, which is here, in the front part of the seat. But now, if the chair is not stable when it is loose, well, then you should block it and unblock it when you want to relax. Okay? But make sure that the chair is stable when you work. That is clear. It can have small movement. You see, it's not completely rigid, but it should not, in particular, when you go in the chair, bring you away from your screen or from actually your keyboard. Now, clearly this is also related to your postural habits. Good sitting posture is like this. I'm slightly forward, my lower back is supported, hence my shoulder blades are free. But some of you sit like this. And you see, from the moment you slouch in your mid-back, the chair goes. So if you know how to sit well, you're like this. That's cool, we can leave the chair unlocked. But if you have a bad sitting posture and you're a bit like this, as you know that the chair will take you with it, well, better block it. And yeah, you're not sitting any better, but at least the chair does not worsen your bad habit. Okay? So this is for the chair. And step one is always I adjust the chair in the middle of nowhere. The next step is to adjust the chair at your desk. And there the idea will be to say, well, I want my keyboard to be just under my fingertips, i.e. the desk to be at elbow height. If the desk is too low, not a problem. You put wooden blocks underneath, if it's not adjustable. The problem is when the desk is too high. Well, it's not always handy to cut the legs of the desk. So what you have to do then is raise the chair. And as you raise the chair, well, you lose the ground. So you need to put something under your feet, which is called a footrest. A footrest should have the same properties as the floor. It is just there to replace the floor. What are the properties of the floor? Big, flat, horizontal. You see, this used to be my footrest. It's a simple plank with kitchen door handles. So I have it here in front of me, and if the chair is higher, well, there I'm on my footrest. Okay? But run away from the footrests that are tilting in every direction and things, because these are footrests which are meant to be like this. And if your feet are forward, you'll be slouching. And that's not a position that you want to have for working. So footrest is in such a way that your heels are under your knees are still 90-95 degrees, and now you can be working on a desk which is higher. But honestly, your preferred solution should always be to be with your feet on the ground, because it is much more difficult to sit deep into the chair when you use a footrest than when you use the ground. So these are the chair adjustments. And remember that you always adjust the chair in the middle of nowhere before you go to the desk, and then you readjust the height and potentially add a footrest. All this information is available on my website. There's a flyer, there's advice on how to choose a chair, etc., etc. I'm bringing the link down here. Feel free to visit it and share it to your colleagues, to your friends. It's really meant for you guys. Take care.